This is Brian Orender, President of Charitable Advisors and publisher of the Not-for-Profit News. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Frontline Perspectives podcast. Today, I'm joined by Dave Voris, the Region Manager of Treasury Management for Horizon Bank. Horizon Bank is a community bank headquartered in Michigan City with $5 billion in assets, and Dave helps his clients manage operating cash. So Dave has given me three kind of tips or recommendations for 2021, and I'll kind of share these with you, and then he's going to jump in and give us a little more detail. So his three tips for 2021 are to be aware of fraud, use tools to make donations easier, and expect low interest rates. So Dave, get us started on fraud. That's kind of a scary topic now, it seems. It's coming from everywhere.
Well, the crooks have absolutely been rampant in their attempts to steal money, and they are stealing it in great amounts. They have done things such as take checks. It used to be that they would try to write new checks fraudulently. Today, they are actually whiting out the payee and using a real check with an invalid payee. Crooks are also going in and trying to do business email compromise, wherein they will send an email to the boss and says, please wire money someplace. And in fact, nobody ever did that legitimately. It's all fake. So you've got to be awfully careful. And there's two or three things particularly to be careful about. With online banking, be sure you always have changed passwords and login ID so that somebody can't come in after that. There are some tools out there that people used to not like to think about because it sounded like paying for insurance. Nobody wants to pay for insurance, but there are tools called Positive Pay that will act as a filter against check fraud, as well as act as a filter against ACH fraud. So these tools today are very much a top of mind and very much important to be sure that you're setting yourself up for protection and not exposing yourself unnecessarily for crooks to come in and very simply steal your money.
Very good. Okay, so if somebody wants to dive into this topic a little bit more, do they talk to their banker? Do they talk to their accountant?
They talk to their banker and talk to the banker about payment system risk or fraud risk, and particularly mention things like security of the online banking or security of using Positive Pay as the openings, and the bankers will know exactly what they're meaning.
Okay, super, very good. Okay, your second tip was use tools to make donations easier.
In today's world with the pandemic, not-for-profits are so worried about surviving and donations. And so in this world of operating cash, I think there are some tools that can help the donors have an easier time in sending money, and that is to use the website of the not-for-profits and install a payment button or a donate button. That technology has been around for a while, but the evolution of that has sped up in the last couple of years, such that it is very easy to get that installed and then very easy for the donors to use that. And they can use that not only for one-time transactions, but they can also set that up for continuing annuity type of transactions month by month. There is a cost of accepting credit cards over the website. It's called interchange, but not-for-profits particularly have a way to offset that because they can use convenience fees. Convenience fees represent a way to offset the cost of the interchange, and they simply could use a percent. But most of the not-for-profits we have worked with have used a flat amount, such as $3 or $5, to cover the cost of processing for those online donations.
Very good, very good. Okay. Well, your last one is expect low interest rates. How long are interest rates going to be low? That's good for us sometimes, and that's bad for us sometimes.
Well, who knows? And everybody said for years, if we knew what the interest rates, we would all be millionaires and billionaires. So we don't really know that. But everything I've read says that coming out of this pandemic, we expect interest rates to be very low for a very long period of time. So the problem with that is that not-for-profits organizations are not going to be earning off their portfolio what they probably need to help them in their daily operations. And so the thing to be so concerned about is not to go out and try to chase yield and thereby end up incurring risk that could ultimately end up in a write-off of the assets. The Organization of Financial Professionals has done research for several years, and prior to 2007, 2008 Great Recession, treasurers were chasing yield, and so the rank order was as follows: yield first, then liquidity, and then safety. So along came the Great Recession. Many of these investment portfolios had been invested in instruments chasing yield, but they turned out to become worthless and had to be written off with millions of dollars lost. So as soon as that happens, people say a pendulum swings between fear and greed. And so all of a sudden they had gone to fear or greed, and all of a sudden they were scared to death now. So for the last 10 years or so, the Association for Financial Professionals have had the ranking of safety first, by all means, then liquidity, and then yield. So the fact is that interest rates are going to be low. Don't get caught up in trying to turn something into a loss that would be very problematic for the organization. So safety first, then liquidity, then yield, despite these very low interest rates.
So organizations just kind of need to reconcile themselves to that and make other adjustments.
That's what we think. That's what we're seeing on the headlines, et cetera.
Very good. Okay. Well, thank you so much. So again, the three messages: be aware of fraud, use tools to make donations easier, and expect low interest rates. So thank you so much. Our guest today has been Dave Voris with Horizon Bank. Thank you for joining us. We wish you a safe and healthy 2021.